I was wrong about budget keyboards. Hold on, I can explain. Howdy hey, I'm Hipyo Tech, and in my quest to find the best budget keyboard, I've looked at loads of different keyboards, be it the QK65, the Zoom 65, what have you. And in this video, I'm gonna be taking a look at a budget keyboard that just might actually be the best. Today, we're gonna be looking at the Mode Envoy, and we're gonna be putting it to the test to see if it's better than some other budget keyboards like the Zoom 65. Was I wrong in saying that the Zoom 65 was an amazing keyboard? Because the Mode Envoy starts at $189 US, which is a very similar price. So if this thing is good, it's gonna be a very strong competitor to stuff like the Zoom 65. Now, the Mode Envoy looks like a regular old boring tray mount, but it actually holds some secrets. This is a tray mount that might actually just sound incredible, and it's got these special 3D printed elastomeric blocks, I have no idea what that means, that theoretically will give this board a bouncier typing feel or a stiffer typing feel with the other ones. Now, what I'm looking at today is a prototype, so take everything I say with a bit of a grain of salt. There might be some final changes based on the final version, but I also have no idea what prototype they sent me, so I'm going in here completely blind. Yeah. Now, the keyboard comes in a very solid carrying case. It's, I guess, good if you carry your keyboard around, which some people do. Some people bring it to work and stuff. And upon opening the carrying case, we are presented with a lot of accessories. Before we look at all of these accessories, let's first start with this mysterious envelope. Now, this mysterious envelope has writing on it that would tell me what's in it, but that's not fun. I'm just gonna tear it open. We've got the magical PE foam that makes all keyboards sound the same. We've got some plate foam and some back of the PCB foam. Now, you might be wondering at home, why does it have all of this foam? Well, we include foam with a keyboard to dampen it and make it sound a little bit more quiet, maybe less pingy, maybe, in my opinion, better. So today, when I build this Envoy, I'm gonna be building it first without the case foam, just to see how it sounds to appease the no foam gamers. And then after that, I'll be adding the foam to see how deep we can get it sounding. Okay, the keyboard is actually here. And ooh, what the? Okay, we'll take a look at this later though. Next, let's go very quickly through all of these accessories. Daughter board, feet, screwdriver bits. Also, for $7 extra, you can get a hot swap PCB. I seriously recommend spending the $7 extra if you go with this board, as it'll save you lots of time, and if you don't own a soldering iron, lots of money, and you won't get cancer. Hey, that's pretty cool. And last but not least, you get a keycap and switch puller, and yo, that is a dub. Okay, a Zoom 65 doesn't give you a screwdriver. Good work, Mode. The PCB supports a little bit of different layout options, but nothing too crazy. And it also has a south-facing orientation, but no LEDs, which is a little bit sad, honestly, considering that the case is clear. Now, you're probably wondering, Hipyo, what is the keyboard like? How does it compare to the budget keyboard that you mentioned earlier? Well, don't worry, I'll be looking at that soon. But first, let's actually get the keyboard unboxed. And the box isn't really much to unbox here. I slide it out of the sheath and oh my god, that is pretty. So I have the polycarbonate version, which adds an extra $20, but you can actually get an aluminum version for cheaper. But theoretically, the polycarbonate version might sound a little bit thockier. The Envoy has opted for a very geometric type of vibe, and it's got these nice little side bits that you can use to maneuver the keyboard around your desk. Now, in traditional Mode fashion, you've got a very nice accent, and this board is obscenely customizable. So you might be looking at it and saying, Hipyo, your board is actually kind of ugly. Well, there's about a bajillion different options, and if you click the link down below, you can actually customize your own. Like, honestly, just look at this version with a wood accent. Now, if we flip it over, you get to see the beautiful back weight. Now, this is kind of looking like a CSGO skin. It's definitely a love it or hate it type of look. Honestly, I do think the copper or silver end up looking a little bit prettier, but some people might really, really love this look. Wait a second. I don't think they gave me a plate. Oh, yeah. Now, my last resort was checking the package that Mode sent me 3 weeks ago. Oh my god, a plate. Oh my god. Okay, we're saved. Before we build the actual keyboard, we first need to do the step that everyone does. Lubing stabilizers. I'm not gonna waste your time. I've done this in a million videos. And they're lubed. Now, with the stabilizers all lubed, it's time to install them. Installing stabilizers is super duper easy. All you do is throw them on your keyboard, and use a screwdriver, and boom, they're installed. I forgot to put on the PE foam, so now I'm gonna put it on like this, and then now I'll put the stabilizers on with some magic, haha. Okay, now with the PE foam and the stabilizers installed, it's time to move on to the next step. Next, I'm adding the foam for the dampened experience. Then I put the plate on top of the foam, and now it's time to screw it in. Ooh, yeah! So now we actually have the assembly ready for our switches. Now, for the switches for this build, I want to compare it really similar to my Zoom 65 builds, as I feel like that's what's gonna be the most useful for you guys. Now, remember, our whole goal here was, is this board better than the Zoom 65 and that type of stuff? First, Mode sent me some of their Tomorrow switches. Now, these are a tactile switch with a 62-gram bottom out. I've built almost all of my Zoom 65s out with linear switches, so comparing with these switches might just mean that we're not gonna get the best similar result. So I'm gonna put these to the side. Instead, I'm gonna be using these linears from Wuche Studios. This is gonna mean that I have the closest one-to-one comparison with any of my Zoom keyboard builds. These are an incredibly good stock switch from the factory, as they feel very, very, very smooth. They also sound really good from the factory without any hand lubing. Kind of the holy grail of switches. Now, I'll have these switches and all the other parts linked down below, but they're definitely worth a look if you're looking for a pretty good factory lubed switch. Also, a very, very nice fun fact about this board is when you're building it, they actually have the back of the keyboard perfectly labeled. So I'm gonna be building this keyboard with a 6.25U spacebar, so I'll need to put in all my bottom switches in this orientation. This is really helpful for beginners and a great touch. Ooh, yeah! Now, after installing all of the switches, it was time to get on to the next part, the keycaps. Now, with keycaps, I could go a lot of different directions here. I could go the $300 GMK route. I could go the $20 budget route. But I think I'm gonna land somewhere smack dab in the middle. Now, as the keyboard is gonna be a very beautiful polycarbonate case, I've decided to go with some very beautiful keycaps. Now, for the very beautiful keycaps, I've still got a bunch of keycaps that were sent to me from Osume Keys. Now, these are the Sakura keycaps, and they really make me think of springtime. So, speaking of Sakura, here is my springtime desk mat that is available at kineticlabs.com. For only $24.99, you can get this beautiful, beautiful desk mat that will cover your whole entire desk, and check it out at the link down below. Here comes the magic. Here it comes. Make sure you're subscribed, otherwise I'm not gonna have enough mana and this magic isn't gonna work. You better, oh! And now with the keycaps on, it's time to finish the board. Now I'm starting to think about, will this board be better than the Zoom 65? Will this board be better than the other budget keyboards that I've looked at? Is this the best budget keyboard? Now, as I talked about before, these special little flexible blocks are gonna be integral to this board sounding and feeling really cool. In order to fit these little flexible blocks in, there's actually slits that are physically cut into the case. So they fit into the little slits like this. Oh yeah, this board also comes with a USB-C daughter board that I'm just gonna install like that. There we go. Now with that installed, all we have to do is maybe put the little feet on the back and then we're good to go. So the next thing to do is to simply plug in the keyboard like so. Oh gosh. Like so. And then set it gently into the tray. Now these little screws are gonna, oh God. These little screws are gonna keep it from falling out, because the last thing you would want is you game a little bit too hard and your keyboard falls out. That would be pretty cringe. I think everybody would cry. I'm just gonna screw it in and right shift over here. We're also going to screw in right here. And now your keyboard won't fall out. So that's good. Now we have it without foam. Am I missing something in the front? Because this isn't bouncy. This is just, ugh. So at a certain point, I encountered a problem with the Envoy. When the keyboard is in its natural keyboardy state, for some bizarre reason, the front is just super off kilter. Like if I was gaming hard and putting a lot of spacebar pressure, like I would be feeling this. Missing the foam. Well, you know, the foam would fix that. Honestly, the sound without foam, I'm not really that impressed with. It sounds really similar to like Gamma K Pro or whatever that I tried. That's like $100 cheaper. Like it sounds like a polycarbonate board. So before we go ahead and fully compare this to the Zoom 65 or any similar 65% board, maybe I'll throw the QK65 in there for fun. Let me just go ahead and add the foam to it. Ooh, yeah. So this is a sound test of the Envoy with foam. Now, this isn't a direct comparison by any means, but comparing the Zoom 65 and the Envoy, they sit at a relatively similar price point. Both of them are 65% keyboards. The Zoom has a more interesting, kind of like speckly aluminum finish and a knob. Now, definitely comparing a polycarbonate to an aluminum, the aluminum is gonna look more premium, in my opinion, but that's not necessarily a deciding factor here. What I will say though, is both of these have the same exact switches in them, so that's at least 1 point of closer comparison. Granted, one has GMK keycaps and one has PBT. So as you can see, both keyboards are gonna end up being a little bit different. There isn't necessarily one right choice. Like, the Envoy might sound a little bit deeper with this specific configuration, but I imagine if you put thicker PBT on the Zoom, then you might get something similar. Thanks, Nola. So what are my final thoughts on the Envoy? I think ultimately it's a pretty decent budget-ish keyboard, but what you get out of it is gonna be pretty preferency. You can customize it quite a lot, but whether or not those customizations live up to you, that's up to you. So if you enjoy it, then check out that link down below, as it's an affiliate link that will make me money. If not, then check out one of my other bajillion videos on keyboards. I'll be leaving you with the sound test of before and after foam. So please watch the whole thing to support my YouTube algorithm overlords. Bye. Now we have it without foam. So this is a sound test of the Envoy with foam.